If you're not okay as a person, if I'm not okay as a person, I am no better as a parent at that point. Welcome to the Unschooling Lifestyle. Our last episode, I talked about self-directed education and my conflicting decision or ways to try to meet that. I didn't even know what that meant. I felt like people would say like self-directed, child-led, and then I'm like, well, what does that mean? More so for me as a parent, as a person, than it was for them. I didn't know how to facilitate that. And then I kept thinking about the concept of expectations versus needs. And I feel like most of our conditioning comes from people having expectations of all of us as a person, as a woman, as a parent, as a person in society. But then most of those expectations, generally speaking, may go against our needs. For example, our need to be alone. That is something that is very true for me. I have the need for a lot of alone time. But in the past, I would make myself ignore that completely because society expected me and the groups that I was part of expected me to be out there, out and about all the time. And if I chose differently, then all of a sudden, well, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Why do you want to be alone? That need doesn't really fit with the expectation that we have of this group, this cohesive group. So I felt that I needed to be part of that cohesive group in order to feel accepted. And in order to do that, I had to ignore my own needs. So when I switched to unschooling and self-directed education, I was used to ignoring my needs, right? But I wanted to meet other people's expectations of having this beautiful children that were doing their thing and being the investigators or being the doers. And I was there supporting them. And that was also making me the expectations that society had of me as a non-schooling mother, right? You are supporting your children because they are gifted or they are doing this. So you are fulfilling the stereotype of that unschooling mother. So I kept thinking about that, especially this last week, because I think expectations versus needs come out a lot at the end of the year and the holiday season. If you are in the United States, most of the country celebrates Thanksgiving. I can say that the romanticized version of Thanksgiving, it's really starting to fade a little bit. I think people are starting to see differently, but also release the expectations that come from such a big marker in our year, right? Thanksgiving being a gathering where family kind of comes together and are grateful. Generally speaking, if that is the case, then I have always thought people should do that every day, right? We're not just grateful on one day of the year, right? So, but there's added emphasis to this one. So as part of the aviation industry, as a flight attendant, I have always seen how depleted this holiday can be when you are fulfilling someone else's expectations versus fulfilling your own needs. It is absolutely incredible how this holiday can be so draining when you're fulfilling other people's expectations versus your own needs. So what I see is usually people put money, time, and energy into making this trip to somewhere where they don't normally go throughout the year. So my train of thought has always been, why? If you don't seek out these people or this experience throughout the year, why is it that it's important to make it for Thanksgiving? It just felt like such a tight expectation from society on the different groups of people that, because of this holiday, that you should do this and you should do that. And there's all these expectations, the food, the perfection, the way it's going to come out and the chaos and all of that. And that as a result, it's just part of it. Like it should be accepted. And then you leave yourself feeling drained. As you get started, there are these expectations of what the holiday or what your homeschooling, unschooling life should be. But then we forget that we have our own needs. But more importantly, we don't even know what those needs are. And this is where human design has been so helpful for me. At a very introduction level, human design has 5 types. There are manifestors, generators, projectors, manifesting generators, and reflectors. We have different types of signatures. So think of a road in 2 ends, right? I'm a manifesting generator. So when I'm in alignment, I feel satisfaction and I feel peace. When I am out of alignment, I feel anger and frustration. So let's just go with that. So the frustration if I feel frustration nowadays, before that, obviously I didn't know that, and I felt frustrated because I was expected to be part of a certain holiday or a certain part of when my kids were in school. Like, I was frustrated that I had to be there or that I couldn't do what I wanted to do, but I didn't really know how to say no. And that was a big piece in order to find my own needs. I had to learn how to say no, but in order to do that, I realized that in order to say no, I needed to be grounded into what I needed. And that was a little bit hard because I didn't know how to do it because I had been following other people's expectations on myself. So I didn't really know what was truly a need for me versus an expectation that I had turned into a need. Right. So in human design, as you learn your own ends of the road, for a generator is the alignment piece is satisfaction, the not self is frustration. For a projector, the alignment piece is success, however you define success. And the out of alignment, the not self is going to be resentment and bitterness. For a manifester, the alignment piece is going to come as peaceful, and the not self is going to come out as anger. For a reflector, the alignment will come as a surprise and the not self will come out as disappointment. So those are very two distinct sensations, feelings, emotions that we have over everything that we do. The people that we meet, the events that we go, the places that we visit. So there are very two simple barometers that you can start using today to notice, is just to be aware of that. So as you go through, when I started to go through this journey, once I started realizing that my frustrations were very much there and very much palpable and very tangible, my job, or I felt that my job was to find out how to shift that. Because I have noticed that when I am fully satisfied and fully having this sense of peace over what I have done throughout the day, I am a much better parent. And I have also seen what it feels like when I am not. And I can tell you those two are very different people. It's two very different experiences. I do like to be more in the alignment piece of it, which is you're not meant to be stuck in alignment all the time. And we're not meant to be stuck out of alignment all the time, although it feels like majority of people are out of alignment sometimes. So it feels like there's like this permanent situation, but nothing is permanent. And changing our situation, it takes time. It takes time for us to slow down, awareness, feel in our body, to feel, truly be honest. Now, this is the hard part, because what happens here is that when you are honest about what brings you alignment for you as a person, forget about the unschooling part of it. When you are truly honest about what is true for you, versus what other people have, the expectations that other people have of you, then those are two very different roads. And generally speaking, I have experienced the road of grief when I let go. And this came from groups, friendships, different people, activities. There is a sense of grief because you're suddenly detaching from something that it's the norm. There are different pieces there, that you're detaching from. So as you choosing unschooling, and here, as you can see, I go back and forth between the unschooling and the personal piece because they are kind of weaved together. It's impossible to separate them, but they are different journeys. And if you think of like a circle within a circle or a cube, within a cube, you have detached yourself from the mainstream education. So all of a sudden you will be experiencing some sort of grief as to letting go of a system that, even though it doesn't work for you, there is something that everyone else considers the norm. So all of a sudden you're living on the edge, right? And the same thing if you are finding out that holidays, let's go back to the Thanksgiving example, if your Thanksgiving dinner that you go with a family member that every year is going to leave you drained and frustrated or angry, or interactions that you have with people that just doesn't feel good, the decision there is to either acknowledge how that makes you feel and stay or make something to change it. And sometimes the change comes from leaving that group entirely the way you have left education. I always see unschooling as like imagine a tower, a Jenga tower, and you take a very foundational piece. For example, at the very bottom, you take the piece of school. So you may have the piece of family, it's four pieces. So you may have family, school, your after school activities, and your holiday or birthday parties that come from the people that you interact in the school activities and the school. And then all of a sudden you replace the school piece with unschooling. And those other three pieces may not fit in the same way they did before. So here we go again, what our expectations are of ourselves and of the people that are around us, and versus does that meet a need for me? It really is about um taking the time to sit with it. What is an expectation and who is doing the expecting and what is the need that is for me? And I love this process because I call it going inwards and backwards. So I always like to take people inwards. Like, what does it bring up for you versus what should you do for other people? And as parents, as moms, especially, it's like, what should we do for our children? But my train of thought, and I am convinced of this piece, is that if you're not okay as a person, if I'm not okay as a person, I am no better as a parent at that point. So I invite you to slow down and take your daily activities and find out what that brings for you. Satisfaction, frustration, anger, peace, resentment, success, disappointment, surprise. Find out, feel into it. What does that bring for you? And if it doesn't bring the alignment that we are looking for, then how can we change it? By just asking the question, how can I change this? I can guarantee you that your divine team will drop some hints of intuition because we all have that. It's just we don't always listen to it. So yeah, I would love to know how your experiment it's going. If you are starting to do that, if you have been doing that since you transitioned into unschooling, how does that look like for you? And more so, if you want to collaborate together, you can send us an email to get a human design reading. Or if you want to join our January program, it's all about human design, finding your needs as a parent and kind of finding the rhythms that work for you from within. Unschooling is all about life and learning through life. But my biggest joy is to bring the transformation to the parent and then kind of collaborate on how your own design merges in with that one of your child. So there is a dance to be had that is just beautiful. It's not always easy, but being aware and fine tuning, there's always an experiment happening. So if you would like to do that, you can join our email list to get more details. I wish you the most fantastic weekend ahead. Please remember that your time is precious. I hope you're making it count. Take care.